Hey guys, welcome back to Techsperts. And today I'm going to be giving you guys my review of the Acer Chromebook R11. So the Acer Chromebook R11 is a budget Chromebook that starts at about $279.99. The price does vary because this Chromebook is definitely a bestseller on Amazon. But what makes this Chromebook special is that it can run Android apps. So Google did announce this months back that probably last year that the Android apps would move over to Chromebooks, not just Android devices, and I thought this would be a great idea because, convertibles like the Acer Chromebook R11, they have nice big touch screens, they flip all the way around, and then they essentially turn into a tablet. So this actually is like basically a hybrid in that way, which since it has a touch screen with a keyboard, it's basically a laptop and a tablet because you can actually just flip the whole thing around. And it acts as a tablet now that it has Android apps on it. Now, Google does say that it's in the stable channel for out of all the Chromebooks that are running Android apps, but it definitely is beta because it does say beta on the Play Store icon when you're in the app screen right here. But I wouldn't say that's a bad thing because, so far I haven't been seeing any performance issues with this when it comes to Android apps. Everything seems to run perfectly fine. And it's a pretty good experience. But before we go in depth with that, I want to go over the design of this Chromebook. So, as you can tell, you can probably tell from the video, this is definitely not like the best constructed Chromebook out of all. Of course, they have, Samsung has their nice metallic Chromebooks, and same with Asus, and they're built really nicely. Now, this is made out of plastic. It's not going to be the most durable material, but it definitely does the job because it maintains the weight of this Chromebook, but it doesn't make it, too. It doesn't make it like too cheap feeling. It's not that thin. It's not that cheap feeling, and the white actually does look pretty nice with the black screen, in my opinion. It's not too bad. But as for the design on the side, like all the way around this thing, as you can see on the left side, we have the charging port, HDMI port, USB port, SD card slot, and on the right side we have the power button, headphone jack, a second USB port, and a Kensington lock. So it's pretty basic in terms of ports. This side is nothing but just a couple lights. Here they tell you if the status of the battery and whether or not this laptop is on. And the back has this nice kind of shiny look to it. You can't tell from the camera really, but it has the Chrome logo up here and the Acer logo down here. From the side, you can tell it's a pretty thin Chromebook. The screen's not too thick, so when you have this thing flipped all the way around, it's actually not that big in your hands. It just doesn't necessarily feel like a convertible compared to some other ones that I've tried out before in the past. The display is pretty nice. It's an 11.6-inch display with a resolution of 1366 by 768. Which puts it a little bit over 720p, but this is not a 1080p display by any means. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's definitely got some decent colors, and the pixels aren't that noticeable unless you're really close to the display. It's got a pretty nice keyboard. It's got some good travel to it. It doesn't necessarily feel like a Mac keyboard, where it's kind of so flat to the point where it doesn't even feel like you're pressing a button. And I do like that. I think that does feel pretty good. The trackpad is definitely not the best, but it does the job. It does get a little bit bent on the edges if you click a lot down there, but I've definitely seen this with other Chromebooks in the same price range, if not even a little bit more over this price range, so it's not really a big deal. As for the specs, this does have an Intel Celeron processor. It's just your standard Celeron processor, nothing amazing, but it definitely does the job because a Chromebook does not need much power, so the Celeron is all you need, and I think a Celeron does very well with Android apps. It's really not that bad at all. And this specific model is the version with 4 GB of RAM. So 4 GB of RAM, just like the processor, it's just enough for Chrome OS. You shouldn't need too much RAM. In fact, flagship phones now come with 4 GB of RAM, and they cost a lot more money than this Chromebook, so I think it's a pretty good value. And the storage, you get 32 gigabytes, so 32 gigabytes is pretty good, because you only need that 32 gigabytes for Android apps. You don't really need it for anything else because your extensions are cloud-based. They don't need to take up space really necessarily on your storage. Now I'm going to give you a little peek at the camera here. The camera is a 720p camera, or it almost looks like 480p, but when you're in good enough lighting, it's not going to be too bad. So I mean, I think this is passable for a Skype call or any kind of video call that you may want to do with this Chromebook. This Chromebook does maintain the same kind of interface that every Chromebook has. You know, the basic taskbar down here where you can bookmark all your favorite applications. And then the side here has everything you need to know about the status of the Chromebook. So it gives you, Wi-Fi status. It says what network you're connected to, whether or not Bluetooth is enabled. And it gives you the cast device here, so you can cast the screen over to a Chromecast or cast the audio to a Chromecast audio. And you get your settings down here, your power button, lock. And the settings are fairly basic. There's nothing too advanced in here, just everything that you would need. Now, what I think is pretty interesting is that since this is a Chromebook that is running Android apps, it does have sort of an Android sort of emulator in here. So when you're coming down here to see your Android app settings, it has this sort of an Android settings screen where it brings you straight to an Android style settings application. So it's like basically running off of Android Marshmallow. Definitely, it says a Marshmallow, definitely not Nougat. But as you can see, it says manage your Android preferences. And here, you have your standard Android settings. It looks just like Marshmallow settings. It's really basic. It shows you the Android version is 6.0.1, but of course this is not running Android. It does have a pretty recent security patch, January security patch. And basically what this is for is managing your apps. I mean, you can just do it right here. But if you do want to just uninstall an app quickly, you can just hold down on an application and you have access to do it. This is a system app, so of course you can't uninstall it, but with a different app you could do that. What I think is interesting too is that you can install all the apps you want. So you could be watching YouTube from the website, but if you don't want to do that and you want the app experience, you can get the YouTube app from the Play Store. And then the actual YouTube website shows up with a little bit of the Chrome logo next to it to tell you that it's the web app instead. But I personally think that the YouTube app, the standard YouTube app, does work better, and I think it's a lot easier to navigate through. So I think you should definitely just use that instead if you're going to want to watch YouTube on here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And it does work really nice with Netflix, Hulu, Sling TV, Tableau, a bunch of other streaming applications, and plus games. They work really well. It does a very nice job when it comes to the orientation. As soon as you flip this thing around and put it on its side, it's in that orientation so right away, and it quickly switches back to another orientation if you flip it around. So I think that's pretty nice. I mean, it actually does work a bit better than even some Android devices do with that same thing. So as you can tell, you can have the display flipped up like this, where it looks more like a TV, and it does work really good when it's on your lap or on the table. You can just watch TV or videos just like that, or even just read through content like books and stuff. And you can also put it in sort of a tent mode where it looks like, it's good for presentations, I guess you could say. Also videos sometimes too, but I would recommend the other presentation better. I mean, I think it's better than this sort of thing if you're going to be watching videos. And yeah, I mean, that's about it for the design. I'm going to go through a couple Android apps to show you what it's like to run them on a Chromebook, because a Chromebook definitely is sort of a different device than an Android device, but I mean, it runs Android apps just as you would expect, like on your Android device. So, for example, Kodi is an Android app, and you wouldn't normally be able to run this on a Chromebook that does not have Android apps, and I think it works really well. It's great for watching your favorite videos on your local network or using add-ons that Kodi provides. And I think it's pretty nice to have Kodi on here so that way you can access all of the other videos that are not available through your standard streaming apps. I would say games work pretty well too. Like I said, you could play a couple fun different games on here. But as you can see, it does say, unfortunately, Kodi has stopped. So it's definitely not the most stable thing, but it does work okay. I wouldn't expect everything to be 100% stable because it is in beta. You have to remember that, but it's nothing to be worried about. As you can see, games come up pretty quick. Air Control, that's a basic game. And if you want to go into full screen or just get rid of the taskbar, really, you just swipe down on the taskbar and it kind of goes into a full screen orientation. And for the full screen, you just hit the full screen button on the keyboard. and you get that full effect here. As you can see, the orientation got a little bit messed up, or at least the full game is not really shown here. It got a little bit cut off, so you kind of have to restart the app sometimes if you want to go into full screen. But yeah, I mean, this is just, Google is still developing this. It's not going to be 100% stable, so we'll have to wait for an update here and see what happens. But so far, it looks okay. And down here, you can even see that it does update Android apps just as normal on here. And this is your notification center, by the way, if you were wondering. And if you have a Chromebook, that's where it is. I'm going to do a quick reboot. This just show you how fast this thing boots up and shuts down. It's really fast. I can just hit the power button right here. So that's how fast it shuts down. It's already blackened because it's already done shutting down. As for a Windows computer, you have to wait, I would say, a lot longer for it to shut down. But now it's already off, and I can just quickly hit this power button on the side, and it will boot right up. So yeah, there's the Chrome logo. It takes about 5 seconds, and it's already up. So, and then all that's left to do is just sign in. So, whoops, wrong password. Yeah, so it's already in the Chrome browser immediately. I mean, it's very fast. Let's just put it that way. With 4 gigabytes of RAM and an Intel processor. In terms of the battery, this battery can just last all day. It's amazing. You know, after running this for a while, I still have 30% left, and I don't even remember the last time this thing was charged. So I mean, you're not gonna have to worry about battery life at all. And I think part of this great battery is the display, because the display is not too demanding, and it definitely shows when you're using this thing for a whole day. And even though this thing is so thin, it seems like they packed a good enough battery in here that it lasts all day. And I'm pretty impressed with it, considering this thing is, you know, a full-out laptop that can run Android apps. So that's pretty much it for my thoughts on the Acer Chromebook R11. If you thought this video was helpful in any way, please leave a thumbs up and comment with any questions. I'll try to answer as many as I can. And subscribe for more videos like this one, because we do have some content coming that you may want to see. And thanks for watching our review of the Acer Chromebook R11.